Mr. Bedlam. And one drop jockey's the best. Ed.
Oh, you have no idea how much this theme song gets me in a rush. Teenagers in power suits riding extreme sports vehicles with a kick-ass theme song like that? The child in me then and now is still sold. And I'm sure I've in no way seen this before. Pause. Early warning. Get Ed is one of those series that's kinda been lost to time. If it weren't for the video uploads on YouTube and other sources, this thing would literally be unavailable. No DVDs were ever produced, and it hasn't ever actually been officially distributed in any other way. While I'm sure technically it's locked up in the Disney Vault somewhere, it's buried under so much junk that it might as well be lost. And it seems that all the uploads that I've found were recorded from the Disney website when it was available years ago. Play. Yeah, superficially this is basically just Power Rangers. Kids with power suits riding on futuristic or exotic vehicles while trying to stop the bad guys' plans. But this time, with a twist. Instead of being students and having to hide their identity, it seems that Progress City is just so messed up that everyday civilians have to use power suits to brave the outdoors, or just choose not to go out at all, which seems like most people have done. There seems to be no police force, and the streets are run by courier gangs that fight each other for cred and turf, delivering packages to make incomes, doing whatever possible to stay on top and get the drop. We follow the street gang known as Dojo, run by their kingpin known as Old School, that takes in Burn, the typical hot-headed leader. Deets, the stereotypical girl who keeps saying she's not the stereotypical girl. Fizz, the techno-babbler. Loogie, the comic relief. No lie, I thought I was gonna get tired of this guy really fast, and while he is kinda hit or miss, I say he hits more time than misses. And last, the newcomer Ed, a test tube child spliced with DNA from aliens. Or the future. They keep going back and forth on that, never really pick one. He's the main entry to this world, acting as a straight man, with us gaining new experiences in the world as he does. The show follows them as they deliver dangerous drops at high speeds, knowing crazy clowns, robot, DNA clones, and security drones, courtesy of Mr. Bedlam, of course. One of the most underrated, delightfully evil businessmen villains.
I'm really not a bad person.
What would you call destroying half the city?
Redevelopment.
Robot thugs?
Security engineers.
Tearing out my DNA?
Taking an interest in you.
Looking to take over the city. Or destroy it. And rebuild it. But if he destroyed it, people wouldn't want to live in it. They never exclusively say this, but it seems that Progress City might be the last refuge of humanity. Like I said, this future is twisted. I mean, really, everybody here is a criminal, it's just to what degree. Sounds like the perfect Disney show, right? With that premise set up, let's take a look at the episode Wi-Fi. I think it showcases a good little slice of what the show is, as it starts out as a filler episode, but incorporates some story elements towards the end, while using the futuristic environment to bring some new ideas to the show. So the episode starts off with the crew trying to complete a drop, but being chased by Bedlam DNA delivery service. With 3 out of the 5 members actually being able to fly, the decision to go for the sewer instead is kind of strange, but okay. Yep, this is going to be a episode with Fizz being too small to fight back against another reoccurring villain, Spiker. Fizz gets the package taken and Spiker gets away. The crew cleans up as Fizz laments on how she feels useless for being so small.
Outsmart! You might be itty-bitty small, but you're smarter than a smarty pants!
Loogie actually makes a valid point here. So valid of a point that she seems to have solved this issue 9 episodes ago with the same villain, alone.
Wait, they're a bot. I know all about bots.
Cutting to Spiker as he gives Bedlam the package, we find out that it's the last component he needs for his scheme. God, I've wanted to use that one for ages. Bedlam sets up a fake drop to lure the crew into a trap. Some bots try to take the package, but Ed, per usual, decides to go rogue and draw them off from the rest of the group. The rest of the crew completes the delivery as planned, and the trap is sprung.
Of course, it's all about being
I think it had more to do with pilot error than to do with you being short. Fighting off the Bedlam bots like usual, Spiker surprises them afterwards, zapping them with a new ray. Why'd the dramatic rocket leave? For all he knows, he was the only one there. I think that's just destruction of private property. Or public property. Does Bedlam own this warehouse? So everybody but Ed was digitized, or rather...
You've been turned into Wi-Fi versions of yourself.
But because the capture changer malfunctioned, they made it back to the dojo computer. However, time is ticking as Bedlam is scanning and trying to capture them. Before they figure out what to do, a drop is called in. Because this is a TV show, he decides to take the package alone. But those bots from before weren't too keen on being trashed. While the bots are closing in on him, the digital crew sees what's going on, and Fizz decides to act, figuring out that she can hack into anything within the area. Like, seriously, the whole entire city doesn't use any sort of password or virus protection. Like, I know she's kinda like the technobabbler hacker, but everybody else is able to do it as well. The crew pull a whole bunch of watchdog tricks, but just as it seems that Ed would get away, the team gets zapped into Bedlam's setup. Bedlam gets angry because Ed wasn't one of the ones captured, but figures that he can work it out in his favor anyway, by using the rest of the crew as bait. Ed heads back to the dojo, and Old School tracks their signals back to the Bedlam Tower. And despite Old School literally saying that he could get them out without Ed having to go to the tower, Ed runs off. On his way out, Old School gives him a trinket that keeps him from getting digitized. Ed just waltzes into the tower, and Bedlam then tries to zap him. Finding out that that doesn't work, he goes back to the plan of just throwing Bedlam bots at him. Ed stabs the TV, and somehow that sets his friends free to run amok in the tower's systems. Spiker joins the brawl, and removes the T-key from Ed, allowing Bedlam to finally zap Ed with the digitizer. Ed freaks out and turns into an orange ghost, screaming at Bedlam before destroying the digitizer and blowing up the room. This somehow gets the crew back into their original physical bodies. Fizz shows that she can handle herself, and everyone gets to go home. Quick little recap of Fizz's lesson at the end, and we switch back to Bedlam, who got a copy of Ed's digital signature and plans on merging it with his own, even though he already got this information earlier when he got Ed's DNA from throwing him in a machine. I'm sensing a theme here. So what happened? Why did Get Ed disappear? Well... oversaturation. Like, oh, this thing just oozes 2000s kid action show. 3 to 5 adolescents with the help of an old wise mentor as they balance their work and school life fighting crime. I know this is a tale as old as time, but it seems that during this point in time it was getting tired and I feel no one really gave Get Ed a chance. This was during a point in time when Disney was taking risks and putting some actual animated TV shows out. And they felt it was best to give complete creative reins to, well, the creators. Disney stepped back and saw what their creators could do. And it really feels like there's work and heart put into this show. Having watched the whole thing, I can tell you that there are many good jokes and references slid in there. Some feel like they have no real right to be in there.
This is my reality, Old School. I control the horizontal and the vertical.
The show also doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows it's silly, and it knows that nobody's going to look at this and think a masterpiece. It doesn't feel the need to always make things doom and gloom, despite sometimes having a dystopian outlook. The series really suffers from reset syndrome. I made the 2 examples earlier, but it gets more annoying as the series goes on. Like throughout the show, Ed will get these artifacts that give him tremendous power. They literally say that this suit is indestructible, and this power pack thing gives him electric power and allows him to fly. But outside of these episodes, they're never used again and are only referenced. Like, this is a thing that Power Rangers got years ago, come on now. If you give a powered mode, you don't just throw it away. You use it as a tool, or even as a spectacle when the heroes really need it. It seems that some of this comes down to the budget and animation though. It's a lot of recycled stuff. You better get used to seeing this blue highway and Bedlam Tower a lot. And I mean, I would say something on the technical details of the animation, but I think it holds up pretty well. It has a nice consistent style, most of the time. And considering the original pilot where they were only pizza delivery boys, oh god. Bedlam has dreads! Another thing you're going to be seeing a lot are transformation sequences. Notice how I specifically found an episode that didn't have the transformation sequence. Sometimes they'll actually start in the power suits, only to go back to the dojo, and just talk for a minute, and then have Old School, who hasn't said anything the whole episode, just scream, "Power up!" just so the animators could save about 30 seconds. One morning though, the series ends on a cliffhanger, and has an abundance of plot threads that still need to be expanded on. But it seems like it never will, as it didn't get picked up for a third season. In reality, Get Ed was a product and a victim of its time. It got buried by everyone making shows for similar demographics. And its only real unique point being the extreme sports cover, which was a fad that was actually starting to fade out by 2005-2006. And especially 2007 when the show should have been renewed. Having looked back on the show in isolation, Get Ed, while a little bit dated, especially in its lingo,
Whoa, chillax, that cool, awesome, righteous snap. He's learning.
shouldn't be completely discarded or forgotten. And hopefully videos like this will bring more people aware to it, or maybe reawaken some of those old memories you have. Who knows, maybe even one day we'll see Ed come back. Very unlikely though. Hey, thank you for making it to the end of the video, and if you like this kind of old forgotten type stuff, I'll be trying to find some more. Anyways, thank you and have a good day or night. See ya!